new poll reveals Scottish voters take hardline on immigrants despite SNP claim. The findings cast a major doubt over Nicola Sturgeon's claim that Scotland is more welcoming to foreign people than other parts of the United Kingdom. A survey funded by Brexit campaigner Nev Brown found 45% of voters agreed that EU citizens out of work for 6 months or more should have to return to their country of origin. A further 30% think the long-term unemployed should have to apply for a visa, while 25% think they should be allowed to remain indefinitely. The BMG poll of 1,041 Scots voters carried out last week also found that 46% believe homeless EU migrants or those living in temporary accommodation should be sent packing after Brexit. A further 28% think they should have to apply for a visa, while 27% think they should be given the right to remain. When it comes to convicted criminals from the EU, an overwhelming 81% of Scots believe they should have to return to their country of origin. Only 7% believe convicted criminals should be allowed to stay without question, while 13% think they should have to apply for a visa. EU citizens in full or part-time work and claiming in-work benefits should be given the right to remain indefinitely, according to 46% of Scots. However, 42% believe they should have to apply for a visa in order to stay after Brexit, and 12% believe they should return home. The biggest vote of confidence was for EU migrants in full or part-time work who are not claiming any benefits, with 71% backing them to stay. A further 26% believe this group should have to apply for a visa, while only 2% think they should be asked to leave Scotland. The poll findings reveal that women are much more likely than men to think EU citizens should have to return home or apply for a visa after Brexit. In the months since the vote to leave the EU, the SNP has repeatedly attempted to make political capital out of the uncertain status of 173,000 EU citizens in Scotland. Although EU migrants are more likely to have a job than British people, figures show that around 25% are not in work, which would translate to about 43,500 people north of the border. Mr. Brown, former chief spokesman for Brexit campaign group Business for Britain in Scotland, said, "The polling data very much reflects the conversations I had during the Brexit campaign. Scots clearly want an immigration policy where the best interests of the country determines who is allowed to stay and who can come into the country after Brexit. In short, Scots do not support the SNP's soft touch, open door, free-for-all immigration policy. Indeed, the findings show how sophisticated Scots voters are. There is a clear recognition of the contribution foreign workers make to the Scottish economy and that foreign workers are welcome in Scotland. However, when looking at long-term benefit claimants, that support falls significantly. 45% of Scots think long-term benefit claimants should be sent home when we leave the EU. The fact is, given the current jobs market, there is little justification for any foreign worker being unemployed for that length of time. These findings show that voters know that the welfare state is under enormous financial pressures. The data shows that Scots voters have broadly the same view towards EU homeless citizens. Perhaps it would be more appropriate for their own government to provide assistance? When you look at EU citizens that are convicted criminals, Scots voters are sending the SNP a message: send them home, a view shared with the large majority of SNP and Green voters. The SNP soft-touch immigration policy is completely at odds with the views of Scottish voters. Last night the Scottish government said EU nationals were greatly valued around the nation. A spokesman added, "By far the biggest threat to Scotland's economy is a hard Brexit, which threatens to cost our economy around £11 billion a year by 2030, and cost the country 80,000 jobs over a decade." The Scottish government greatly values both the contribution that EU migrants bring to our economy and society, and the benefits of freedom of movement enjoyed by our own citizens, such as the right to free movement to live, study and work in all EU countries and benefit from their health care and social security systems. We want EU nationals in Scotland to feel settled and secure and to continue to make strong contributions to our country. We continue to urge the UK government to provide assurances on the status as soon as possible in the forthcoming negotiations with the EU.